Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you as always for joining me on my video. So today we are going to talk about some saddening news that we received about the C8 mid-engine Corvette. We got the news from GM Authority and we're going to talk about the news and then we're going to actually break it down. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more backstory and information on it. So again, I hope you enjoy the video and thank you as always. You're watching Full Throttle Drive. So unfortunately, it appears that the new C8 mid-engine Corvette has been delayed for 6 months due to electrical issues. Now, we don't have a lot of information specific to why this is the case, and this does come to us from GM Authority. I want to read directly what the article actually says. According to sources familiar with the matter, on the basis of key being anonymous, engineers have uncovered a major electrical issue with the future Corvette during the developmental process. From what we can gather, the vehicle's electrical system can't carry the load necessary to support the necessary components. To address the issue, engineers will need to re-engineer the vehicle's electrical system. Naturally, changes made to the sports car will need to be coordinated with suppliers involved in providing GM with the electrical components, as well as any associated equipment. The undertaking will delay the mid-engine Corvette project by at least 6 months. Despite this, GM Chevrolet should still be able to launch the new mid-engine Corvette by the 2020 model year, though a 2020 model year launch is not entirely off of the table. So guys, we have talked about this before. We do believe that the C8 mid-engine Corvette will be a 2020 launch, but we usually see production start in the quarter following. We are expecting possibly fourth quarter 2019, and a lot of us were hoping first quarter 2019 as being the unveiling, the true debuting process, but it looks like that may be pushed back, especially if production is pushed back 6 months like this article is saying. Now, I want to add a huge caveat to this. From what I can find, there is no other true information that is backing this article up. It's just the article. And in addition, we are talking about a car that is in the testing phase, but there has been no true publicly acknowledged by GM that this is the new Corvette. So you got to take this all with a huge grain of salt. So first off, I want to talk about why this may be happening. What exactly could be causing all of this electrical issues for the new C8 Corvette? And I did a lot of digging through the forums and took a lot of good information from what people on there were talking about. First, I want to remind you guys that this is the testing stage. This is where we want GM to find these types of issues. We don't want them to find these issues after production has started. That's a major hassle and nobody wants that. So remember, even though we got to be patient, we want them to find it in this new testing stage. The car is going to have the latest tech, and most of that is driven by electrical components, and my guess is there will be a massive draw on the electrical system that run all of these components. Now, the typical cars we have are 12-volt systems, like the 12-volt batteries we put in our cars. But there are 48-volt systems that are gaining popularity. Now, back in 2000, we actually saw a 42-volt system that was gaining a little bit of traction, but it fizzled out because there wasn't much of a backing for it. However, a few commenters in the forums have suggested that we use this system, and we have even seen this new 48-volt system used recently as the Bentley Bentayga. The Bentley Bentayga has an option for a very advanced anti-roll system, and it's a very neat system, but it actually requires a 48-volt system in the car, so we are seeing this used more and more each day. Now, I do want to say that we have photo evidence that we most likely are not seeing the 48-volt system so far used in the C8 Corvette. The ones that have been tested so far, we actually saw a photo of one needing to be jumped at a gas station, and a truck pulled up next side to it, and they actually did the jumping to help the Corvette get going. We don't know whether the battery died or if there was an electrical issue. We're not really sure, but if it was a 48-volt system, no normal 12-volt battery out of like this truck could have helped jump it. So we're pretty sure that currently they are using the 12-volt system. But does that mean that they are moving from the 12 volt up to the 48 volt system? And this is why we are seeing a huge delay time. I honestly doubt that this is the case, but it would explain why there is a huge 6-month delay time. But again, I don't believe this truly be the case. Now, the second point or topic I heard regarding to why we could be seeing electrical issues is actually for a hybrid system. And guys, I want to remind you that I don't think we're going to see a hybrid system on this base Corvette, the one that they've been testing. Now, we have talked about previously that we may get 3 variations of the C8 Corvette, and I believe the highest variation that we may see in 4 or 5 years from now may be a full hybrid system like we see on some of the very high-end hypercars. But as of now, I don't believe we have a true hybrid system, and I don't think that would be the reason we are running into these electrical issues. Now, we may have some of these very small hybrid systems on the car, such as start-stop and some of these other small components, but other than that, I don't believe we have a full hybrid system. Those were the 2 major reasons that a lot of people were talking about for why we would see an electrical issue and this delay. But in my honest opinion, I just don't feel like this is exactly the reason. So I'm not sure the validity to this actual article, but that's just what I've come up with after reading on the forum. There was a gentleman that actually talked about electronical issues, and he actually had some frame of reference. I think he had a background in electrical systems, and this is actually what he wrote talking about if this could possibly be the case. As an electrical engineer for avionics systems, I find it highly unlikely. One of the very first things the design team does is to capture the electrical load requirements and then design in enough margin to operate in extreme conditions, temperature ranges, and corner cases. So, he's explaining that usually they are well aware of how much draw is going to be taken on the system, and they make sure that they can actually still work well out of their bounds of what they're going to be using. So I feel like this gives us a really good indication that an electrical issue at this stage in development is fairly unlikely. However, people do make mistakes. Engineers make mistakes, so it can't be fully ruled out that this is a major electronical problem that we're seeing with the new C8 Corvette. Now, I do want to make one very last point about this whole issue and what we could be seeing for this delay if it isn't an electrical issue. And it is that Chevy could be stalling due to excessive inventory. It is becoming well known that even though the C7 Stingray Corvette sold exceptionally well, sales are much lower than production numbers in this past year. In addition, we are seeing a slowing economy on home and car sales, and this could begin to pull us into tougher times economically. GM, being a large publicly held company, could be taking this into account and trying to lower their unsold inventory numbers before they release their new generation of Corvettes. This is completely my opinion. I don't know if this is the case, but we are reading more and more about excessive inventory, and I feel like this could be a really good reason as to why they would delay the actual unveiling for the new C8 Corvette, because if it does come out, if it's unveiled even before production starts, a lot of people that could just go up to their local Chevy dealer and buy a new C7 off the lot may hold off, especially if people are really intrigued with this new platform design. So whether this article is true or not, it does have to be noted that the C8 Corvette will not be at the North American International Auto Show, or from what I can see, it doesn't look like it will make that show. I talked to you guys about trying to make that show. It doesn't look like I'm going to go. I had a ton of fun at the LA Auto Show. I may try for the New York Auto Show if it seems like that may be a possibility of where they will unveil the new C8 Corvette, but until we get more information, I'm going to hold off. I do want to remind you guys also that I know this is the difficult part. Waiting is the tough part about the C8 Corvette, but we want the very finest vehicle that we can get on this new platform. So guys, patience is going to be worth it in the long run. So guys, what do you think about this article? Do you feel like it's a true article? Do you feel like it's fake? Any of you guys that have knowledge over car electrical systems or just electrical systems in general, anything with that background, give me your guys' thoughts of what you think on this. I'd love to hear from you all. I don't have that much general knowledge on this type of system, so I don't know why 6 months it would take that long to re-engineer something, but I know there's a lot of working components that go into it. But let me know, leave all of your comments below. As always, I love talking with you guys and getting back and conversing, so let's get those comments up. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. I would truly appreciate it. Subscribe if you have not already. Would absolutely love to have you on the channel. And as always, guys, you take care. We'll see you next video.